Hello everybody, Jim Malone here, coming to you live on Dallas Trading Floor. Well, it is Tuesday. We had the Juneteenth break on Monday, and so the markets weren't open on Monday, but Tuesday has turned out to be kind of a losing day all across, in all of the categories, except for a few, and I want to show you that. But Boeing really slid today. It really moved down, and yeah, it's just the kind of thing that I had Boeing, and boy, I tell you what, I sold it. I had to sell it. Here's the market, the market roundup. It's in a confirmed uptrend. We're in a confirmed uptrend, but the Nasdaq was down. So was the Dow, and that was the big one, and the S&P 500. And what really happened, I found out, was that Boeing was at the Paris Air Show, and they were expecting to get a large order, and unfortunately that went to Airbus. Airbus got an order from a company called IndiGo, which is kind of a new startup, but it was 500 planes, and that is an amazing number of planes. They lost out on that. Now, as you probably know, Boeing got a order from Air India, so they were expecting this IndiGo to order as well. They didn't get it. The news, it just fell on that news, so it just not looking good. Let's take a look at the live chart. Oh, that's the Tesla chart. Excuse me. Let's go over here to the Boeing chart, and that kind of that should tell the tale here. Take that off. There we go. Okay, so here's the Boeing chart, and if you look at the Boeing chart, you'll notice that it pulled back. I think you can see this. Hopefully you can see this on the screen. Let me see that for people that are watching on TikTok. This is the Boeing chart, and what happened was, at the end of the day, Boeing was down 3.49%. And it was significant. I mean, it came all the way down to the 21-day exponential moving average, which means that it triggered a sell order for me. I typically, if it's going down and it doesn't bounce at the 21-day exponential moving average, I'm usually out of the stock. Why? Because, well, that's showing a lot of weakness. Now, it may come back. We don't know, but definitely weak here. So, definitely not the kind of thing you want to be holding right now. And it was unfortunate, because you can see by the list that I hold. Well, wait a minute. No, let's get the right slide up here. There we go. Okay, so this is my current holding list, and you'll notice Boeing is not on there. I sold it. I mean, I just, when it hit that 21-day line, I was out of that. I mean, I just, you just can't, you just can't. So I sold it on weakness. Probably not necessarily the best thing to do, but one stock I want to show you, though, that I doubled down on today, and that was Tesla. So Tesla's looking pretty good right now. I mean, here's kind of my analysis of it. Hopefully you can see this. We've come up from the bottom, and it does look like, I'm going to switch over to the live chart for Tesla just for a second, and let's take a look at that. What I have on this chart is this dotted line here that I'm showing. That is the next line of resistance. It's at 313.90. So I think that if we move up to there, we'll be fine. Now let's take a look at the at this chart. Oh, let's take a look at this chart for Boeing, and I'm just going to kind of go through it real quickly here. We had this beautiful pivot, and everything was looking great on Friday there. As you can see, that's kind of where that's where we saw it. It came all the way up to 221 very nicely, and then it moved down to the 10-day line. Nice move on that 10-day line. Bounced up, but today it came all the way down to the 21-day line. So I'm afraid with the downward slope on the RORS line and the 87, I'm afraid we're going to probably take a leg lower. So I just sold it, but I think we may go down as low as potentially all the way down here. We could go down to the bottom of the consolidation, which is about at 285. So I did sell it, and you know, it's just one of those things. I was touting it. The chart looked good. It looked like it was going to push past that resistance at 221.33. It did momentarily, but then it pulled back, and boy, oh boy, that was it. You know, it was just too much for it. One stock I want to also talk about here today is Tesla. Kind of a different story with Tesla. Here's the chart that I have for Tesla. As you can see, we have that resistance at you know, we have that resistance at 313.40 right here, and I've been buying it all the way up. So I'm going to jump on over to the live chart for Tesla, and then I'm going to show you the pivots, the resistance levels on that. I still think that Tesla, believe it or not, is still buyable. I know that's not the normal way of looking at it, but I definitely think it is still buyable. These are the kind of gives you my buys here. These are all the buys that I made, and today it got above this resistance, and wow, it really took off. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to take the some of the commentary off there. There we go. There we go, and just show you kind of, and let's take off those. I'm just going to take off these comments because they're kind of annoying. There we go. Okay, these are I comment my buys and my sells typically. So what happened was we came up. You know, the buy point again 207. We came up through that. We did, you know, on Wednesday and Thursday we pulled back. We didn't even make it to the 10-day line. We pulled back and then we got strength. And today, wow, it's looking like it's going to move higher. And here's the thing: this is where this right here is where the resistance is. This is the higher high, 313.80. So if we move, we're probably going to be moving up to about there. Now, why do I say that? Well, because that's the higher high. We don't really have any resistance. We have moved past. We've moved past the intermediate resistance at 237. We're well above that. We have the 50-day line almost ready to cross above the 200-day line. That's the golden cross. And also, this is key, we have a lot of volume coming in here. So there's big institutional investment coming into Tesla. Who knows what's going to happen, but I definitely think that we could possibly go until we hit about 313. So here's the chart, the weekly chart, and what I want to show you here, and I don't know if you can see this, but this is the line of overhead supply. We're almost out of overhead supply, which is really a good thing, because the people that bought it about 18 months ago, most of those people have been washed out. We've moved past this key point here, and that's why I say that we kind of have smooth sailing up to about 313 as far as I can see. Now, would I buy it here? Well, it's going to be tough to buy it here. I'll tell you that it's going to be tough to buy it here. But we might get another pullback. Ideally, we would want the pullback to the 21-day line, but I don't think that's going to happen before it hits 313. So if it pulls back to about 228, which I doubt it will, so I'm telling you all these things, that's where we could buy it. But really, I think that you know, if we do get a pullback to the 10-day line, maybe 248 or 250, we could possibly enter there. Now, I'm not entering a new position. I'm just adding to an existing position. So that's a little bit different than what other people are, than starting a brand new position in Tesla. Here are the here are the pivots for Tesla. I'm just going to show you this slide that I put together here. Hopefully you can see this. The pivot for Tesla, we're past the pivot for Tesla, which is 260. Okay, because currently we're at 274, and we're up. Actually, I believe in the after hours too. Let me just check if that is true. Yeah, we were up. Well, we were up 22% today. So we're at 274. So we are basically past these two other resistance, and we're past the third level of resistance. So it does look very, very likely that we're going to go higher, and this is going to reset itself. I think that if we could get a pullback on Tesla to about 250, which I don't know if it's going to happen, that might give us another buying opportunity. But right now, I've been adding to the position. Of course, I'm in it, so there you go. Let's take a look at my portfolio and the relative strength of everything. That's kind of fun to take a look at. I just discovered how to do this, so hopefully it'll show here. I only hold 6 stocks currently: Tesla, Samsara, IoT, NVIDIA, Palantir, PLTR, that's a AI stock, Google, and AMD. Now, the worst performer of the bunch has been AMD. I'm hoping for a bounce on that. I may be cutting that. I cut Boeing today, but as you can see, the relative strength rating of Tesla, everything I have in the portfolio, with the exception of Google, is above 92 in relative strength. So that's very, very strong. If you'll notice, the composite rating for Tesla is 99. That's as good as it gets. I hold NVIDIA as well. That's 99. And I also have Palantir. That's also 99. These are 3 of the strongest stocks currently in the market. That's why they went up for the most part today, whereas the rest of the market didn't. Let's see. This kind of shows you here. On today's action, of course, Tesla was up significantly. And the interesting thing about Tesla, it closed at 274.45. The price was up $13.91 a share, and it was up 5%. But what's more critical is that the volume was above average. It was 20% above average on Tesla. Also notice NVIDIA was up today, but the volume wasn't as strong. It was down a little bit. So this may be working into resistance, but it was up 2.6%. All the other stocks that I have were down. Fortunately, not by that much, but they were all down. So it's really showing that there's strength just in a very few stocks right now, and really the 3 that I'm really focusing on is Tesla, NVIDIA, and Palantir. Those are the ones that I'm really focusing on. Well, thank you for holding on there. Let's take a look at your questions, because that's always the best thing to do. Thanks for tuning in so much. From the Gardner family, how about space? Okay, well, I'm hoping that that space can do better. But the problem here with space, let's take a look at it. I haven't traded this stock in about 2 years. I did very well in it, but it was in the speculative phase of it was in its speculative phase. I think that this one likely is going to go bankrupt, so I would be very, very careful. I realize that they have this launch, but you can see it's just all over the place. They're not profitable, and that's the main thing. And let's kind of look at the profitability issues there that they have. The question is, can they get profitable? Well, 2 years ago that wasn't as big a concern, but now now SpaceX dominates the space launch market, and it does look like it's going to run away with it. And see, that's the problem when you have a situation like that, is once somebody gets a lead, and it's a big lead, it's very, very difficult to it just becomes very difficult to get around that. Now, they did have the problem with space with Virgin is, even though their sales were up, they are not making a profit. So I'm not really very bullish on this one. They're showing a loss, and the stock is in a downward trend. If we go to the daily chart, is there an opportunity here? That's the real question. Should you hold it until the launch? Well, you know what? Here's my take on that, and I hope you don't are offended by this, but here's what I would do. I would definitely not hold it. I would it's the old saw. It's buy on rumor, sell on news, and unfortunately, the launch is going to be news. I would be selling it. I would be selling it. Don't let it move lower. If it's up, That's great if you're going to make a little money. Take the money and run. I'm not so sure that SpaceX will be able to weather the storm. I'm not that optimistic on it. I'm just not that optimistic. Even if we go out to the weekly chart, I think that it's going to languish for a while. This is just not the kind of chart you want to buy. This is the weekly chart. It just is not working. I mean, yes, it has come back up to 6. The fact that it's at 6, I would be selling it. I would be selling it. And here's a way you can do it. Put your stop loss at 6, and then if it moves up from there, just push that stop loss up. So when it pulls back, and this is a market stop loss, you're going to be sold out at a good price. But I wouldn't hold it through the launch. I just don't think that it's gonna do anything there. We did talk a little bit about Tesla, so I'm going to come back to your question, Sandeep. But thank you so very much. Let's look at AMD for Lisa and Snowflake. Let's look at AMD first. And I have AMD, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. I love the stock, but I'm afraid I'm afraid what I'm probably going to do is, if I can get back to a situation where I'm closer to, I'm closer to what I paid for it. I'm not down that much on it, but I am down on it. I'm considering that I will probably, I may sell this, hopefully if it moves above this resistance, and buy more NVIDIA, because I don't think that that's looking better. Here's the thing, it's in this flag formation, as you can see. Now this will, I think that, on good news, this could really move. Now, we have earnings in 42 days, so definitely time that we're looking at the weekly chart here. Here's the thing, this is kind of where it's gonna fish or cut bait. It's kind of run out of energy. The relative strength line is moving down. The question is, what will it do? I think that this could move higher based on the fact that it's come down to the 21-day exponential moving average. I think it's going to bounce here. If it does, then we're going to get a move. Now there's resistance right here at 130.79. That's where the resistance is. So the move on this, if you wanted to participate, if it does what I think it's going to do, it's going to bounce at this 21-day line, and then it's going to move up pretty much unrestricted until it gets to about 130. So this is the potential amount of move that we could get on it. But don't buy it like I did. I bought it here. Wrong move. I should have been buying at that. I should have been buying closer to the 21-day moving average. Let's take a look at the 21-day just to see. Yeah, we're right at the 21-day moving average. Now, if you did want to take a flyer on this one, this would be the place to buy. Set a limit order for 117.86. That would be where I would try to do it. So if we get it, we may get a touch. We got a touch of the of line. I suspect that AMD will move higher tomorrow. I think it's going to bounce off that 21-day moving average. All right, let's take a question from TikTok. All right, okay, let's see. Thank you for following me, by the way. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm trying to navigate this live. Hopefully I'm going to have a stream key here pretty quick. So, okay, and this is a question about NIO. Of course, this is also one of the vehicle manufacturers, the electrical vehicle manufacturers. I don't think NIO is doing too well. Let's take a look at the chart. What's happening now in the EV space is that everyone is just starting to kind of line up behind Tesla. It's an unfair world here, but the what I think is happening, what I think is happening here is that everybody is starting to line up around Tesla. So this is NIO. I want to put that out there for everyone. This is NIO. This is the chart for NIO. Now here's the thing on this chart. Not a good chart because again, downward trend. We're under that 200-day line. We have a relative strength of 10. I mean, it's just not doing well. If we go to the weekly chart, same problem. We're still in a downward trend, and so I just don't want to buy anything in a downward trend. This is why it's always better to buy something that's moving higher. It just is. So let's look at the comparison between NIO and Tesla over the period of time. Now, I know very different types of stocks in terms of price, but this is why it many times is better to buy a more expensive stock with fewer shares than a less expensive, not quite as good stock with more shares. And this gives you the relative performance. Let me put that up there for everybody. Let's put up the relative performance of NIO versus NIO versus Tesla since the first of the year. So this is the performance of both of these stocks, and as you can see, well, if you bought NIO at the beginning of the year, you'd be kind of almost even, maybe even on that. It's been moving ever slower, ever lower. But if you bought Tesla, you would almost have doubled. See that? Now, I didn't get in on the true gravy train on Tesla. I didn't really start buying Tesla until it got about here. That was where I started buying it. Basically, and this is the first time I've really bought it heavily since in about 2 years. So this is where Tesla is. This is where I started buying it. Basically, in the third week of May. That's kind of where I started my buying. And as you can see, it's been moving very steadily up. Now the question is, will it continue? This is a little bit too steep an angle, and I do think that we're going to get a correction on Tesla. I think though it's going to probably move above 313.90 before that happens. So hopefully I'm right on that. So we'll see. Okay, Rivian. All right, interesting idea on Rivian. Rivian today, I believe, adopted the North American Charging Standard, and the North American Charging Standard, of course, is the one that Tesla uses. And let's look at their daily chart, Rivian's daily chart. Let me just pull on over to that. Did I get that? All right, so I'm going to go over and get the Rivian chart here. And this is Rivian. Of course, they're an EV maker, make a very, very nice vehicle. The problem, though, with Rivian is their chart just doesn't look all that great. I mean, it's just been in a downward trend. Now, they have a relative strength of 13, so this is really not good. This is another example of, when you buy a lesser stock, you always want to try to get in the leaders if you possibly can. I know that it's better to buy a fewer shares of the leading stock, obviously, than the other one. Now, here's the problem with Rivian. They did announce today that they're going to do the North American Charging Standard. This is basically going to be a lifeline to them. But I am not very bullish on this because of the look of this chart. If we look at kind of what's happened in terms of their sales, we definitely take a look at that. We do have some very nice volume in terms of the sales. They've definitely up, but the problem is they're still losing money. So, it's they've got heavy investment by some of the funds. I think the funds are going to start bailing on this one soon. Their cash flow is negative, and I'm afraid that really it's going to be. I think it's going to come down to two stocks in the EV space, and this is kind of shocking. I think it's going to come down to BYD, which is the Warren Buffett invested stocks, and Tesla, because because everybody else is going to be left in the dirt. Now, interesting thing about BYD is that they're supplying batteries to Tesla, but that's gonna end fairly quickly because Tesla's building a facility in Corpus Christi, Texas, to process lithium, and of course they do have their battery manufacturing in Reno, Nevada, near Reno, Nevada. So they may be able to supply all of their battery needs, and that would be interesting. Anyways, but so I definitely do see Tesla kind of running away with it, and I think it behooves people to sort of try to get on the train. Just my opinion. All right. Is Adobe a buy? Well, Adobe is a great stock. It is absolutely a fantastic stock. Let's look at Adobe, ADBE. And this is definitely where the market is favoring these mega cap stocks. The rest of the market not so much, but on these mega cap stocks, definitely seeing it. It did pull back today. This is always the danger when you have a stock that's moving like this, but it does look like there's some support here. This is why it's so important to buy it as close as you can to the 21-day line. Unfortunately, the 21-day line is below the pivot. The pivot is 450. It did pull back, and it is down 485, but on weaker volume. So the question is, can you buy it here? I think we may get another day of lower price here, based on kind of what I'm seeing. I do think that potentially we could come down to about 470 or at 485. So I think it could lose. So here's what I would do. I would try to set a limit order at the 10-day line. The 10-day line currently is 464. So if you I wouldn't do a market buy on Adobe. I would wait. I would put in a limit order 464. That's the 10-day line. That would be a good place to buy it. It may not come down that low, but I think that's where to buy it, because we're going to pull back. We're going to test it right here. This is the 10-day right here. We're going to test it, and then we're probably going to continue back up. Anytime a stock has this issue, it comes up and then it pulls back and it digests the gain. So you always want to try to buy it on the pullback after a move like this. So that's my guess. It's a very, very strong stock. I think it's probably going higher. But here's the thing, I wouldn't buy it at the current price. I would wait until it pulls back to the 10-day line. All right. Palantir. This is a stock that I've been increasing my position in. This is one of the ones I have. I think it's a very interesting stock. It's a low price stock. Normally, I don't like to buy low price stocks. This one sort of has been the exception for me. We've just seen some guidance from some of the big firms that they're saying it can go higher. So we shall see. This is not a bad place. I think what's going to happen, it pulled down to the 10-day line today right there, which is 1564. I think that we're going to get a bounce there. I absolutely think we're going to get a bounce there. So this might be a good one to pick up. Normally, I wouldn't recommend buying this far extended above the 21-day line. I mean, it's pretty extended. This stock is pretty extended. It's, but it's reasonable. The 10-day line is at 1439. So we're currently about almost 10% above that 10% line. But that said, I think that we could possibly buy it here. And why? Because it's not 20%. So, normally you should buy within 5% of that 10-day line. We're basically at 9%, so we're extended. But I do think that this one is a very strong stock. And I think that it's definitely making its move. Here's the thing. There's resistance right here. Oops. There's resistance on this stock. Oops. Right here at about 16 and about 17. So it needs to move above 17 decisively before it really will be a buy. But you could probably start accumulating this early. I definitely think there's going to be a flag here. We're starting to find that it's starting to flag up. So I really like this stock. The last earnings were excellent. I mean, the last sales were up 18%, but the earnings, and this is the key, were up 150%. So I really like this stock. I'm in this stock. And, I think that it's just, you got to buy it close to the, if you bought it at the market now, you're a little bit extended, but I still like it a lot. All right, Mr. Joker, let's go to Mr. Joker. Thoughts on SoFi? Where do you expect the price to go this week? Wow, that's a good question. This is one of the ones that I wasn't in. This one seems to be coming back. I'd left this one for dead. But they seem to be coming back. I don't like the fact that they're in the financials. I think right now with the weak dollar, not with the weak dollar, with the interest rates the way they are, I don't think this is the place to be in the market. I think tech is the place to be. But, and you can see we came all the way up last week, just above 10, and then we've pulled back basically to the pivot. The pivot basically 824. We pulled back to the pivot, and then we bounced at the pivot. So if you can take a look at that. Yeah, so we bounced at the pivot. You could still buy it here. It's got a strong relative strength, 96. The question is, do I like it in the long term? Let's take a look. Let's see if it was. It's starting to make a move. Now, here's what I don't like about it. Sales are up, definitely good, but they're in a lost position. This is not a place I like to be buying stocks, especially in this market. So I'm a little bit leery. I do think that we could go back up and test. We could come back up and test 10, but I think that more than likely, what I'm seeing here is that we're gonna come down. And the reason I'm looking at these candles here, I think that we're going to come down to the pivot tomorrow. I think it's going to move lower tomorrow, and I think it's going to move down to about $8.24. That's the pivot. Now, if it falls below $8.24 and close, it's going to go down probably to the 21-day line. So right now, if we look at the volume action, it's red bars after earnings. You see, we had this tremendous day back here on Wednesday of last week, and then it's just been red bars ever since. So a lot of people are selling. A lot of people are unwinding their positions. I would stay out of it, just my opinion. All right. And Jose, what do you think of Lumen? They've partnered with Microsoft and Google. Well, let's look. I have not been following this one. Lumen, Lumen. And there we go, Lumen Technologies. And I want to show you one that I did sell today on weakness. I was kind of disappointed, but I don't like this stock. I mean, yes, they have partnered, but I want to see some more action in the chart. I just don't like buying anything below that 200-day line. It just doesn't look good to me. 3 relative strength, I would avoid it. So basically what I would do here is I would avoid Lumen. I would avoid Lumen. I would just avoid it. I just don't think it's going to work as well as some of the other ones. So that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be doing anything with Lumen right now. All right. Great question. This is about Apple. Now, what's happening in the market that I'm seeing? And again, this is just what I'm seeing. It's not gospel. I'm seeing a lot of action in the $1 trillion club. Okay, now for everyone that doesn't know, the $1 trillion club, the latest stock to move into the $1 trillion club was Nvidia. It basically is Apple, Microsoft, Google, Google, Amazon, and now Tesla. Now, the thing is, I mean, Tesla is not in the $1 trillion club yet. It's about $750 billion, but I believe it's going to be. As a matter of fact, I think in 2 years it'll be twice the size of Apple. So that's, you're trying to buy the biggest, fastest moving stocks. But with Apple, it's definitely. I mean, if Apple is too expensive, which I don't think it is, just buy the QQQ, because the Apple makes up a huge portion of the QQQ. Apple is acting extremely well. It's just moving right up that 21-day line. Just moving right up the 10-day line and touching the. This is really, really good action. You can see basically what happens is it'll come up and then pull back and then it'll bounce right at that 21-day line. That's why that 21-day exponential is so important. If a stock is moving like this and it can hold the it can hold the 21-day line, boy, that's a really good thing. So it's come up now. It's going to pull back here. I probably wouldn't buy it until it pulls back a little bit. I think we're going to get a pullback in the next few days to about 180, 182. But it's a good stock. I mean, it's at 185. The volume's down a little bit. Very, very good stock. But I don't know if you want to buy it. I would wait until it's closer to the 21-day line. Here's where I would buy it. We're pretty close. We're 2% above that 21-day line. But try to do this. See if this will work. Set a limit order at about 182 or 180 about 180. That would be a good place to buy it. We're very close to the 21-day line. So if you want to buy Apple, this is not a bad place to buy it because it's definitely, it's definitely sticking to that 21-day exponential moving average. All right, let's take a look at some of the people here. See if I can. New car for long term. This is coming from TikTok here. So this is new core NUCR. Did I get that right? Let's look at new core. Let's see if I can get that correct. NUC. NCOR, I think that's it. Maybe that. No, I don't know. Nucor. Let's take a look. The steel producers were big. I think it's NUCR is Nucor. Did I get that right? Okay, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get that. NUE. I am. Yeah, that's the one. That's what I wanted. NUE. That's Nucor. If we get a lot of rebuilding in infrastructure, then Nucor should do well. But the problem I'm seeing right now is, we've had all these things, Build Back Better and all that stuff, and infrastructure spending, but I just think that the U.S. is so broke right now that, we can talk about infrastructure spending, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. I think the biggest infrastructure story, basically, of today was that Rivian joined GM and Ford in that they're going to be in the supercharging network. I think that the next really, really big, powerful move in infrastructure is going to be increasing the number of superchargers. That's going to happen with Tesla. Tesla is going to own the vehicle charging market. It definitely looks like it. And it's very interesting because instead of being a regional player like electric companies are, if you're in Baltimore, you get Baltimore's electric and gas. If you're down here, it's like TXU, but they're all regional. But with the supercharging network, it's going to be nationwide, and so that's what I'm seeing. That's the biggest thing that I'm seeing in terms of infrastructure. Now, would I buy this one? Well, I'm not as excited about this one. It's bounced here, and it's getting some support at the 10-day line. Would I do this long term? I probably wouldn't, and the reason I wouldn't is because you can see this is the 50-day line. It's come right down to the 200-day line. Looks like it's going to move below it. If it does, that is the death cross, and it's going to be disinvested. So I would not be looking at Nucor long term. I just wouldn't, because that's not where the flows are in the market. All right, Love. This is the airline. The airlines have been doing very well as of late. This is, of course, Southwest LUV, and of course it's the biggest domestic carrier in the United States. But again, I'm just not too excited about it. It came above the 200-day line. I know that people are good at buying the bottoms here, but I just don't see. I don't know. I see a lot of weakness in the market for travel. Now I know you're not supposed to say that, but this weekly chart just doesn't look good. Maybe it's going to reverse higher. It's got earnings in 37 days, but I would avoid it. Why? And let me just kind of show you why I would avoid this one. It's on the fundamentals. Its sales are up, definitely good, but they're still losing money. So I don't like in this kind of environment. I don't want a money-losing company if I can avoid it. There are some exceptions. If it's a really, really hot technology like Palantir, but most of the time I want to see them making money, especially with a mature company like this. I would avoid this one. I just would. All right, Sarah, look at Snowflake. This is one of the most heavily invested companies by funds. This has a lot of funds in it. So, they must know something and it does start. It is starting to see a lot of good action here. The relative strength is 88, but this is a key right here. So we're seeing that 50-day line move above that 200-day line. That's showing some strength. We're relatively close to the 21-day line. If you wanted to get in this one, this would be probably where you should do it. Within 5% of the 21-day line at 173.78. So you could definitely buy it here with a limit order. What I would do is I would set the limit order right at the 21-day line at 173.78. So if you wanted to buy this one, set limit order at the 21-day line, which is 173.78. So that's kind of where I would be looking to get into to Snowflake. Now let's look at it relative to everything else. It does look like it's doing fairly well, and there is a lot of, I know for a fact, there's a lot of institutional investment in here. This came way down. It lost basically 80% of its value. It's starting to make its move up. I don't know if it's going to get all the way back up here to 400, but if it moves above this pivot here, which is 205, it doesn't have a lot of resistance going higher than that. So it's definitely coming up off this base. Really what you want to do is wait. Probably make a buy at 173, and then if it moves above 205, then add to that. But looking pretty good. I mean, I'm currently not in this one because I'm just not in this one. I think that right now, it's seen a little bit of difficulty in the past. All right, let's see. How will stock have left dividend days? Oh, good question. This is interesting. When you have a dividend, typically the stock will fall, and the reason is because it's this. This is one of the reasons why, if you're not up typically 10% coming into the earnings of a stock, you should really consider selling it, take your profits, wait for the earnings report, and then buy it back. Why? Because coming through earnings can be difficult. You can get tremendous pull downs even with good numbers. It's very, very hard to predict. Also with dividends you can get that, but it's less volatile around dividends than it is around earnings. All right, let's look at Monday.com. This is another great stock, Sarah. You're really picking some good ones. I'm not in this one, but I've heard a lot of good things about this one, and I think it's starting to make a nice move. It was way off the bottom, and it's right in the buy zone. So I think that's super. I think you're looking at the right. I think you're looking at the right area. Buy point on this 171.89. We're right in the buy zone now. The question is what you're trying to do is buy it as close to that 21-day line as possible. If you want to pick up some of this, I would put in a limit order at 169.81, about 170 is where I would do it, and that is the 21-day exponential moving average. If we look at the weekly action on Monday, pretty good. We had very nice sales increase, 50%, and we just started to become profitable. Wasn't profitable at the beginning of the year. It is now. Their profits were up. They're starting to make money, even though their cash flow says negative. They've just turned positive in terms of their cash flow based on this. So we're going to see this drop away because they did become finally profitable. Incredibly high price to earnings ratio, though. So definitely a startup company. I think, though, in this kind of market, I think there's probably better places to be. I might do a small position in this one, but I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go all in. I wouldn't go all in on this one. PH. Let's look at that. PH. All right, Parker Hannifin. This is an industrial stock. This is good stock. Another really good stock. This is right in the buy zone. So this is looking pretty darn good. I mean, if you want to get in, you know, if you need to round out your portfolio, this is checking the boxes. 90% relative strength. We're above that 364.57 buy point. We're very close to the 10-day line. Let's see how far away from the 21-day line we are. Yeah, we're about 6%. So this is definitely viable here. Definitely viable. This is a good stock, and it definitely looks like it's going very, very well. Also, it's in the it's in a group that's doing well. Let's look at the group just quickly here. Hopefully, we can bring that group up. Well, it's not doing it for me. Okay, but looking very, very good. I definitely think you could. I definitely think you could do a thumbs up on this one. I think this is a buy. We're pretty close to the 21-day line, so that's not a bad place to buy it. Okay. All right, we're coming almost to the end. Thank you, everybody, for taking a look at the show. By the way, if you could, I sent out an email last night about Tesla, and I think Tesla moves pretty well. I'm going to be doing probably some more emails, but you got to be on the Action Trade Alerts list. It's really easy to do. It's free. All you have to do is jump on over to www.dallastradingfloor, or if you're watching on TikTok, super easy. Just go to my profile, click on the link that says Beacons, and you can put in all your information there, and it's free. And you can cancel anytime, so it's not a big deal. Okay, probably this is going to be the last few here. Pins. All right, Pinterest. This is interesting. Thank you, Chris. Pins. Let's look at pins. All right, P-I-N-S. Pins. Yeah, that's Pinterest. Oh, unfortunately, I would not recommend this one, and I'll tell you right off the bat why I wouldn't do it. We have a situation where we have a declining strength in the stock. Take a look at the 50-day line. It's crossed below that 200-day line. That's showing weakness. Actually, this is probably going to go lower, my guess. Maybe it'll hang on here, but I definitely think that we've got some resistance. So with a 59 relative strength, I would say no. I would say no to pins right now. I just would say no to pins. And it's because it is the strength of it is weakening right now. So no to pins. I wouldn't be in it at this level. Just wouldn't be. All right. And Charles looking at SHW. Is this Sherwin? I don't know what this is. Sherwin-Williams. Okay, yeah, I was right. I've traded this one before. It's a good stock. It's a slow and sure wins the race. Yes, definitely. And if you want to get in and buy industrial stocks, this is really, really good. Notice how it's getting stronger. We have the 50-day move above the 21-day line. Still a little bit weak in terms of the relative strength against the rest of the market, 73%, but it's improving. So that's very, very good. I want to look because this is an older stock, an NYSE stock, I want to look at it just to make sure we kind of do the smell test on it, and that basically is with the smell test. What we want to take a look at, yes, they've got increasing sales, love that, but what more important is increasing profits, up 27%. That's really, really good. The PE ratio is in line. 24 is the average PE typically in the market. So the forward PE is 28. So the market is valuing this quite with a rich valuation. That's interesting. So I guess they see growth ahead. Look at that cash flow. Very nice cash flow. It's a pretty expensive stock, $248. Pretty expensive stock, but it definitely looks like it's making a move. And I don't know if I would have a lot in this one. According to the earnings estimates that we've got on this one, it's going to be flat this year. They're expecting a 14% increase next year. So here's the thing I would say with Sherwin-Williams. Yes, I think it's a good stock. Would I buy it? Probably not. I mean, I definitely think if you were holding a diversified portfolio, it would be excellent. But I'm trying for growth, so I'm trying to go with the ones that I see that are the most they're the strongest. Hey, thank you, Jorge, for this one. Let's look at Builders First Source, BLDR. This is actually a company here in Dallas. I was looking at some of their job recs yesterday. BLDR, they seem to be doing real well as well. And just look at this chart. It is a nice chart. Um, you, Also, you know what? Interestingly enough, we've got some really good action in the home builders, and I can't figure that out. But I definitely think this builder's first choice. This is the kind of stock you want to buy. Why? Because, well, it's not really in a great buyable place, but it's close to the 21-day line. So we have a secondary buy point here, not a primary. The primary buy point was 96.91, and that happened back at the beginning of May. That's where that was, and then it gapped up, and then now it's looking to move above this, but not a bad one. Let's see how close to the 21-day line is. With this one, you want to buy it as close to the 21-day line as possible. The 21-day line on Builders First Sources is about 120, 119.88 or so. So I wouldn't buy it at the market price here. I would try to wait and see if you can get it at a limit price. The limit price I would put on it would be about 120. So if we're going to pick up this myself, I would say, buy at the limit of 120, and the reason why is because it's going to pull back to that line, and so that's probably where you want to buy it, is right about here at about 120. What's going to happen is we have some really nice action here. It's got to digest this. It's pulled back to 112, and then it's moved, and then it's bounced once, twice, and I believe it may have bounced 3 times, but I don't think you want to. I think it's probably going to pull back one more time, hopefully, and that may be close to the 21-day line, or we might have to raise it up to the 10-day line to get any fill about 121, 122. But I definitely think this is a good stock, and definitely the kind of thing you want to be looking to buy. 98 relative strength, so this is in the top 2%, so really good stock. And yeah, all right. Well, everybody, thank you so much. I think I'm just about. Look at this gambling stock. Yeah, this is from Charles. RRC. RRC. Range Resources. Okay, well, this is in the oil sector. Unfortunately, the price of oil has been down. I was very strong in the oil stocks, in the beginning of the year, and they were really strong. But what happened was the demand, because the interest rates went up, the demand for oil in general went down. The Saudis tried to boost the price of oil by cutting production. Didn't work. The price of crude is lower than it should be, I think. So right now I'm out of the oil patch. I'm always looking at the oil patch. I like trading oil stocks, but right now I just don't think the overall condition is right. So I probably would not be a buyer here of Range Resources. It's a good company. It's just the price of oil that they can't control. That's the thing, they don't have enough control on that. So that is the way it works. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for taking a look at the show. If you haven't already, if you aren't already a member of the, if you aren't already a member of the Dallas Trading Floor, please do this one thing. Please smash the like button. It really helps us a lot. So smash that like button, and also go to the go to our website and sign up for a free action trade alerts. Super duper easy to do. All you have to do is go to www.Dallas Trading Floor. So all you got to do is go to www.Dallas Trading Floor, or if you're watching on TikTok, just go to my bio, hit that link. It says Beacons, and you'll be able to sign up easily on that. So until tomorrow at 5, everybody, happy trading, and remember to smash that like button. So smash the like button. I'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 o'clock, everybody. Thanks so much, and happy trading, and I will be back at 5 tomorrow.